Phil Collins and You Can't Hurry Love. Now, are you addicted to digital media? Couldn't you care less about it? Computers, Facebook. Are you a Facebooker or a Twitterer? In Britain, we're the most active social networkers in the world. We share more stories, pictures and playlists than anybody else. So does it mean we're addicted? Let's speak to Mal Fletcher, who's a social futurist and social commentator. Hello to you, Mal.
Hello, Mike.
So are we addicted?
Well, I think some people are likely to be addicted. Addiction really is often brought about by just trying to find an emotional or psychological payoff in the short term. You know, we're under stress in life today, and we look for places where we can find comfort or solace. Some people find that in the cyberspace because I guess it's easier to build relationships on Facebook sometimes than it is face-to-face. But, you know, as has often been said, as we increasingly rely on high tech, we also we have a growing need for high touch. So we need to concentrate really on the face-to-face engagement at the same time.
But we're not at the moment in Britain, are we? We're kind of more addicted than anybody else. And it's a recognised condition, an actual condition now?
Yes, it is, and you can tell that certain phenomena have reached a stage of general concern, can't you, when psychologists start giving them names.
What's it called?
Well, there's two names in particular that come out of addiction. One is constant partial attention.
Sorry, continuous or constant?
Constant partial
attention. Okay.
Yep. And as the name suggests, it's all about being unable to follow a line of argument from beginning to end because we're so busy multitasking on gadgets. That particularly affects young people in this country. But the other one is absent presence, and I think most business leaders particularly, and parents, will know about this one because...
Sorry, say it again, absent presence.
Yeah.
So you're there, but you're not there.
You're not there. You might have 10 people in the room, 6 of them are not really there mentally because they're engaging with other people in cyberspace. And the funny thing, Maya, is that studies have shown very often when people do that, they're actually texting, tweeting or poking people who are sitting right next to them in the room.
Yeah.
How do we stamp it out, then? Because I think a lot of people swear, particularly when they're younger, to fit in, don't they?
Yes, I think, and that's one of the most important aspects of this whole debate you're having this morning. When adults use bad language as a type of default, it really does have a negative effect on kids. At a time when we're trying desperately to lift the standards of reading and writing in schools, we should be thinking more carefully about how we use words in all areas of life. Because kids unconsciously learn that words can be thrown around lightly if we're just swearing all the time. And everyone else will know, they assume, what they mean without putting any effort into thinking about it. And they need to be shown, not just taught in school, that words have power, that using them well is central to success in relationships and in life.
Do you think the internet's changed Christmas?
I think it's changed the way that we shop at Christmas. I don't know that it's changed the relationships we have at Christmas. One of the things it has done in some ways is to monetize affection. And by that I mean we're living in an age where we human beings are sometimes cheapening things by attaching a monetary value to them. A Christmas gift that's tastefully selected with a real awareness of what the other person's interested in, I think is much more valuable than one that simply has a high price tag or looked really glittering online.
But you see, the thing is that part of that special Christmas stupidness has gone out the window. You know, if you shop like me, you know, last minute, oh, that'll do. You don't do that online, I would guess.
Well, some people do, and that's in some cases where the problem comes in, because we don't give ourselves enough time to reflect on what we're spending. We do it with a knee-jerk reaction. And if you shop last minute in a bricks-and-mortar store, James, I think it's a lot easier to, you get tired, you get weary, and so you trudge home with maybe a few less things than you might otherwise have bought. But if you're online, it's a lot easier to overspend and overcommit because it's all right there in front of you.
21 minutes to 11 is the time. Now, is our reliance on technology doing us more harm than good? Social commentator Mal Fletcher thinks that potentially this is the case, and he's on the line to me now. Mal, good morning to you.
Good morning, Mike.
What's the worry then?
Well, first of all, I'm not advocating we sort of have a Luddist approach. We try to turn back the clock. We can't do that, and why would we want to? But I think we do need to think more carefully about how much of our thinking and communication we give over to digital devices. If you think about it, none of us do basic sums anymore. We've given over arithmetic to machines. We've given over spelling to predicted text. We've given over navigation to the TomTom. And much of our communication now is via digital devices. And human communication, it's filled with all sorts of complex activities like the reading of subtle body language or biometric signs. Question I'm asking is, what happens to the parts of the brain responsible for all those complex activities if we use them less and less.
Yeah, I was in a shop the other day and the till packed up. It was electronic till, you know, and the shop assistant needed to calculate my change. It wasn't a difficult sum to do, but she couldn't do it.
Yeah, well, and I probably would be like her. I'd be saying, you know, goodness me, go into a restaurant and try to give a tip and you've got to work out the percentage. And if it's not 10%, it's a little more tricky for us. And, you know, there's been a lot of studies that are sort of suggesting that we might end up with something that I call digital dementia, which is where the symptoms of what we now call dementia, things like shorter attention span, mental confusion, forgetfulness, feelings of isolation, you know, they might actually occur in normal brains simply because we're giving over so many areas of activity to external devices.
I suppose one of the features of these generations that we're talking about here as well would be the idea of consumerism. And you actually talk in more than one of the editorials in the book, you talk about how recession has changed the way that people engage with consumerism. Many of us have less money now than we had before the recession, but aren't we just as consumerist and consumerist-minded as we always were?
Well, I think a free market society always relies on consumer spending, on moving money around the economy. That's how you stimulate demand and create jobs. But I think the double-dip recession here in Britain has left us, you know, with some serious questions about what free market really means and whether we should apply some limits to it. I'm not an economist, but I, in the book, ask what I think is a very important question. Do we want a market that serves us or a market that defines us? And there's a difference. We tend these days to be turning more and more human activities into marketable commodities. Is that appropriate? Is it right that we attach price tags to many, many things in life, or there's some things in life we cheapen or degrade when we put a dollar value on them? And I do think people in Britain have started to reevaluate our priorities and values. Consumers, I think now, consumers are becoming more like activists. We're looking for opportunities to produce change for the common good. So we want to invest in something that meets our needs, but also meets a need for somebody else. Something like fair trade coffee is a good example.
Yeah.
So we don't want to just spend, we want to invest. I think there is a change.
It is a fascinating book, and it is called Fascinating Times, released on November the 30th as an Amazon Kindle ebook. And Mal, thanks for taking the time to tell us about it today.
Thank you for having me, Paul.